Sangye Shindu Mite Guarhi Prabhu Shimla Jibarsho Hidam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniyatayami Shridam Zogi Jognamha Janchu Vardu Ragni Yapsuchi Dagi Jinyengi Bezonamki Rola Benjir Sangye Drupasho Shridam Zogi Jognamha Janchu Vardu Ragni Yapsuchi Dagi Jinyengi Bezonamki Rola Benjir Sangye Drupasho Shridam Zogi Jognamha Janchu Vardu Ragni Yapsuchi Dagi Jinyengi Bezonamki Rola Benjir Sangye Drupasho. Let's just do a quick meditation together. Just get comfortable. See if you can align your spine so it's beautifully erect. Imagining your subtle body if you can. Scan your gross body with your mind and release any tension. See if you can tell the difference when you are releasing and how that occurred through the practice of bringing attention to your body. Bring your attention to the breath. See if you can press your mind tighter against the breath, and only the breath. Just like you brought your attention to the breath, see if you can bring your attention to the most holy, perfect being you can imagine. You invite them in front of you. At this time, see if you can recognize how every goodness you see in them, every capacity, is only possible because of your virtue. And therefore your attention is really on igniting your virtue, looking through the lens of virtue. See if you can enjoy every good quality you can think of them. See if you can revel in the profound beauty that is to know their heart and mind, in whichever way you know that. Your virtue focused center stage, see if you can share your understanding of the things that are blocking you from going further, looking at it through your virtue, obstacles that will be overcome. See if you can find an impulse to remove them cleanly. Get some determination to do that removal over time. Now bring your mind to your engine house of virtue, the habits already in you, the actions of body, speech and mind that you are generating in your everyday, the things that keep you in virtue, your efforts towards practice, your kindnesses, your capacity to share insight with others. See if you can go into that storehouse and get deep joy for your capacity and activity in that regard. See if you can think of the other beings in the room and rejoice in their beautiful capacity for virtue. Specifically think of the goodness in each of the beings you know in this room and beyond if you can. Feel joy that they bring their quality into our world. Imagine all the goodnesses in the hearts and minds of the beings in the room. Imagine them ripening all at once into ultimate realizations for all. And then return your attention to the being in front of you. See if you can get a clearer picture or a clearer sensation of them, what they represent, where they come from. And ask them to please always teach you. And ask them to always stay close. And that triggers them to start rising up and turn and face the same direction you're facing, getting smaller and brighter, more potent, until they rest at the crown of your head. Always linked to you. Always available to you. Connecting you to an ocean of wisdom. Complete freedom from cyclic life. And lineages of experience on the path. Every answer available to you. And when you're ready, see if you can come back to the room with the feeling that everything will be just fine. That's cool. Thanks for coming. We finished the class, but now we're going to do the real work. So Emily took a shift, so she can't be here. She said, if you're doing homeworks and quizzes, which you should be if you're here, just to give them to me and I'll pass them on to her. Or, yeah, just do that. So this is the quiz for last class, quiz 10. Yeah? If you haven't been to last class, sit with others that have. If you need quiz 8, homework 8, or 9, let me know how about spares. Yeah. And then typically you spend together in a little group 10-15 minutes doing the quiz together, share your insights, see if you can come up with the answers, and then we'll go to the class. Yeah. Meanwhile, Steve-O, can you do me a favor? Can you print get out. 14 copies of the final.
Oh, were you going to do last week?
No, I wasn't.
Did you get the thing?
At the bottom of the beach.
Do you want to go through it with you?
The date today is the 9th. Are you still recording?
So it starts there. This is just my classmates, and then you'll just go to the first one.
Yes, again.
And that's when I'll ask you to read, that'll be the first one. Yeah, it's page number 122.
Desire.
No, 123 is the page ago, right?
No.
You know the page ago? You don't know the page ago? Yes, pagers?
Yeah.
It's like type your phone number in there, like 911.
General English.
Yes, it's 143.
No way.
Cherishing yourself.
Oh, they were whatever it's
Text
called.
thing?
Yeah.
Coal in your hand.
I never really did pager. I had it for a year.
Cherishing
And I never really used it.
Cherishing
This is
yourself.
middle school.
Usually that's just for picking up
Stop right there.
Yeah, I wasn't at work. I wasn't. I just started work, so nobody gave me a pager.
It's cherishing yourself for work.
I used to then,
Egocentric, right?
And this one gets us. We're sorry, that's a good
Cherishing
version.
oneself.
I'll figure it out. 140, 120.
So 123.
That is a
After
photo.
123, it's the first black.
Well, that's why it's general
Well, you can
good.
go back.
Everything that we live in is
The umbrella.
But it is
You
giving
can
you a
go
sense that
No, I'm just,
you're not seeing your
no.
place.
grasping.
Again, in the context of what we've been talking about,
I'm not sick.
okay, exchanging yourself with others, exchanging other people as
No, I
yourself,
don't.
and that kind of
It's
stuff.
weird.
When you're cherishing yourself, you're excluding
That metaphor.
all those other things that you're supposed to be exchanging yourself with and seeing yourself as the same as. So, yeah.
I'm talking to him, looking at you. He is a good teacher.
You're gonna walk into a wall if you do that.
Keep doing that, talking that way and looking this way. Read the question.
That's the same for this recording.
The next one?
Oh, this
How does master chant to do that advisor?
No way.
Are those and other possessions?
What
I remember, it was something about that.
It is in that sense.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right? We protect
Again,
ourselves so
in
that
the
we can
context
live,
of,
so
in the
that we can
context
help
of what
others.
we've been talking about. So it's seeing your possessions as the possession of
Oh, as a
the
possession.
master. They're not yours or
Every
what I have written is, a bodhisattva is sworn to serve others. So see your possessions as belonging to your master and feel free to give them away.
Your possessions belong to your master?
Your master as in all others, or your master as in like your teacher?
I would think
Thing
in
that's
that
so
context,
outside the box,
you're a teacher.
The opposite
You're
of where it's belonging to your
disciple.
You're saying correct view like they.
But it is also to remember the example of the umbrella.
That's good.
If you give it to everything.
Yeah, basically, without saying it.
Yeah.
Understanding. Like, it's not just.
Well, you're supposed to give to your
Okay, exactly, depending on your.
Yeah.
To actually practice and
It's not saying you're gonna walk around naked with your clothes away, so you
I like that.
It was interesting because we had this discussion, I actually.
It's just like the coolest thing.
It is, it really is awesome.
Wow.
So I asked him like, what's
So happy.
Oh,
what's the best?
that's good.
No, I just asked what's.
Cool.
What's
That's
the
a nice way
context
to
you're
come
getting
into
at
class.
it?
It really was right before I went.
He said generosity. And then I sort of processed that, and it's like, I can give away my talent, my time, but I don't have money. It's like, there's all kinds of things that I can give away, which I have in abundance. But I can't give you $10 because.
Wealth is not just Tola, or respect.
Equal.
So, like, the closest, as that.
There's three objects
Your
of the
masters
addict.
and others, right? It's
Jealousy.
your masters and
Oh, what, no, read.
What's the?
Which question? What we just did?
Yeah, what did you say? It's
A
thinking about
bodhisattva
followers?
is sworn to serve others, so see your possessions as belonging to your master and feel free to give them away.
But I think, did you say something like within?
Are you doing quiz for 10?
Change for a step?
Yes.
Jealousy,
Yeah.
competition,
Yeah.
and
I guess I haven't reviewed it, so
Well, Hector,
I apologize. I was thinking of less important things.
What were you
come
thinking
join the
about?
group if you want.
What are you doing last week?
Obviously, me too. I know, sorry. I missed last week.
and then I have.
I was channeling.
was a little bit, I must be honest.
When did you get
I'm
back?
trying to put it to the side.
Friday.
Probably
Ah, yes, I remember this in the last week.
Monday night.
private discussion.
Okay, cool. Nice to see you.
What does it
I'm
mean?
tan.
Yeah, no, I guess.
You are too.
No, I'm actually red from walking upstairs and hyperventilating.
I was in a snowstorm yesterday and this morning.
You were in
Yeah.
Canada?
In Maine.
In Maine.
Okay.
That's crazy.
No, I flew.
I had enough.
This one I have a few questions.
All right, so go ahead. Read the question first.
Yeah, what does it mean when Master Shantideva says that we should practice three attitudes towards those who are higher than, the
What
same,
actually
and
does
lower
Dr.
than
Shankar
ourselves?
give to those who complain?
And I remember that jealousy is converted to respect for the people that are higher.
No, he said something like,
And competition
Your
is
worldly
given
masters
way
will never
to
pay
collaboration with the people that are same as
Well,
us.
Okay.
And
like, I think one of the
is given
stanzas says like
favor
your
of
worldly masters
compassion.
will
I would
never
use
pay
the
you.
word pride.
Don't expect
Pride
a
is the
result. Don't
Pride,
expect an
compassion.
immediate.
Yes.
I don't know. I can be wrong.
Three levels of people that you work into others, that
It's
you
so
feel
much
jealous
just
towards
Our
others,
future
you
is
see as
involved with
superior.
others,
Yeah.
and
You compete
you don't
with
have that
those
sense
who
of
see
self,
as equal.
making others in the world a better
Pride
place is
is better for us.
even if we don't realize.
It's
It's
really
a future that
lower
you're,
than-
yeah, lower than
So
you live in.
This was the one that stood out for me last week, and it's like I've been able to recognize and replace several times.
Yeah,
What was
that's,
the
yeah.
second
that's what I was thinking. We compete with those as we see each other the
Yeah.
same way.
But I guess that one then implies it, and therefore we still.
So we should be noting
We
the
still see
antidote
ourselves as
to it.
separate.
Well, the thing comes, I think to precede that is, if we exchange ourselves with others, we see how we think about and treat other people. We feel jealous towards those who we see as superior.
Yeah.
So it's all in the, again, in the context of exchanging ourselves with others, and that's how we see how we feel about these three situations.
Okay.
I always heard that jealousy was like
If you drink some water,
like a
it's
light
quenching the thirst.
sign for
And like,
rebirth.
Because the you is included in the.
I like that. And you know what else? And I think it goes back to the other question about
higher than us
pride.
is
Because
respect.
otherwise it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
jealousy is respect,
there's
competition is
no-
collaboration, and pride is
Or it's like,
compassion.
it's dirty, or just like, if you're like applying just one wing and not the other, then it doesn't work, you can't fly like that, it'll go down.
Collaboration.
Like we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, wait, what did I write down? What do I say?
If you want to see results.
Okay, you have to
I
write.
respect you.
I compete with all of you. Except,
I just.
I think
I feel jealous of it.
I'm so glad I was so
Suffering if you don't feel that it won't be like the other.
It's alright, I'm developing compassion for you, it's okay.
A lot more. Do what you need to take care of your body. It's fun.
No.
He said that like caring about your body
Yes.
is like the ultimate cause of suffering. Yeah.
Well, holding on to
I
your
respect
consciousness,
myself
even
for
in the sense that you want it to experience.
Yeah, but very closely and
You're in a
serving
Buddhist
this body.
paradise.
Like in this context, I
Next.
think
Yeah,
what
yeah.
he's trying to say is like,
Being
what
slave to your
answers
own
will
desire.
Master Shantideva give to those who
What were you
complain
doing?
that although they've worked for other people for a
Yeah.
long time, they have not
Unless-
seen any result
I'm not
yet.
clear on
And
this.
it-
Like unless you do so with wisdom.
Right,
Maybe they
but
weren't
the sentence implies that
doing
the
it with the right
ultimate goal is
Yeah,
caring
it must be,
for
right?
bodies.
Intention.
You just haven't ripened yet?
So
So
Says,
thinking
but it says
that-
what answer doesn't it?
the
Okay,
end goal
so-
is serving the body, not wisdom.
Enlightenment was some sort of physical experience.
I mean,
right?
For me, it's that.
Then that's gonna be
It's several things. I mean,
So then
without
there's some
having-
sort of physical
it's,
experience.
you know, one is that
I wasn't paying attention.
that those seeds are not going to go to waste. That
Like,
they're, you
you
know,
know, I've got.
they're there somewhere. All the
Like,
things.
so there's like some.
But at the same time,
Or like,
you
know,
don't see
like
them
when I was
because
a seat on the subway going higher.
they weren't done
where
with
this body
specific
or-
wisdom and
that's-
intention.
The way
Like
that I
anything where I
feel
like
about
see
that,
you
or like I have
Just
the
more,
same
it's
results,
inside
it's
more
just
of
that
like
I'm still
self-cherishing
plowing so
or
much
ego,
right, over
rather than
it
just
in
physical
a
body.
way.
You're all kind of,
I think
or
it's more
kind of
physical,
bumping up
like,
against
where
what
I feel
his answer is.
Like all the
He
things
says
you did
it's
It's
impossible
identifying
to
with
be
your
unhappy
singularity.
if
I
you're
think it's
caring for other
like,
people.
I think it's more about.
So if you're
not
unhappy,
like trying to-
you're not quite there yet. You haven't applied enough, which is, I think, what you're saying.
Yes, unhappy.
Because you haven't put on the support connection ahead of you.
But it's like, for example, like, let's say I'm taking care of my mom.
Wait, is this all the same?
Sit
We
down.
just
So
find
if
the
we're
things-
unhappy,
Therefore,
I can like.
I'm giving it to you today because we're going to review the answers today. If you want to be lazy, you can write the answers as we're going through it.
You mean if you're
So
unhappy?
when we
Yeah,
do it,
Unhappy because you
It's already
haven't
done.
done
You
enough
need more.
for other people, because it's impossible to be
But the
unhappy.
way that I understood you first is that if you're unhappy,
You have power over people.
it's not
You
necessarily
be able to
Yeah, I thought
It's
or all
possible
different
to be
words.
unhappy if you're unhappy, I mean, you're not quite there, you're not.
Yeah, you're not there, but it's not that you haven't done enough, it's that you're not there.
Well, you're not
You're not
doing
there,
it.
okay.
Right, because that's
But you
different.
may be
Like,
doing it and
You're
not
doing it the
powerful.
wrong way.
At some point,
Just hold
he says, if you're doing that all the time.
This is one example.
Would everyone get one over there?
Could just do two examples.
Or
There you go.
you're on that path and you're not quite, I mean, at some point you're starting with unhappy, and happiness, and you gotta get there, so you gotta start applying.
Everyone got one over there?
Caring closely and serving as opposed to
You
your
get
intention.
I'm sure you're going to have someone else
working in
coming
that
in.
direction.
Francis.
That's the way I see it.
So that's like the answer to five, right? You just gave the
Yeah,
answer.
like you took the question.
The answer that I think if you identify, like you said, you identify, if this is body is who I am, and everything is focused on
What is this, all of it or not?
increasing that feeling about it,
I don't
increasing that sense of self and ego, and you're creating separation as a bodhisattva.
So now what?
And then it's also implying expecting happiness from the body.
That's the final, the next. Right. Yeah. That's why.
Oh, I see, I see.
It's like an incorrect
We're doing
reference.
like
It's impermanent.
Like
So it's
overview
impermanent,
of the
you need
whole
permanence in it.
this day.
I don't know if we're doing this today or if this is for, to be brought in at a later date.
I'm giving you that now because when we go through the class,
You're gonna go through the.
I'm going to go through that. So if you want to cheat,
This is, we're still in the course. We're not that. We're finished review.
we've got, this is the review.
Oh, so this, today is a review of this.
Yeah.
Last I'm gonna read this one according to my social media and having much fun. Can I keep it close?
Can you keep it on?
We
Yeah, all you
Oh,
need to do is
that's-
email the results to
Did
someone.
you do the program?
That
Yeah.
must be unhappiness.
You can keep anything you
Yes,
like.
we've had this a couple times.
You guys
in the
done?
course.
Anything evil happens because you.
What is the basic kind of rule of your body?
Yeah, I don't know where I am.
Hector, what's the next concept that we're
And when you think of it in the sense of being in the realm
Huh?
of desire,
There are three. This is the second course.
body is never satisfied.
I like this.
Always let you down. So you can serve the body, and it's not gonna change those basic facts. The body is
Can I
gonna
see
break
it
down,
for a
it's
second?
gonna die, it's gonna deteriorate.
I had
So,
a,
the inevitable result of caring for the body is the body breaks down, or the body is never satisfied, the body is never dies. Inevitable. So if you spend your life, it's like Hector said, if you've been in this body for 40 years or whatever, because even though the body will, at some point,
You were talking about Jesus?
it has
Not the result, but maybe past record. Maybe there's something.
I'm wondering if you could.
that's what I did here. What I want to do is
I don't want to go to church.
No, it's good.
But I will
sitting
talk
there
about
Can happen either way.
But, yeah, I'm wondering if it's
either
But again, something that he's saying is there's certain things for others.
I've been having a lot of
If you're the type of person who cares about your body all the
I
time,
have days,
that's fine.
I've been thinking,
yeah, so then
should I work for 4 more hours?
So,
What if you do it for motivation to help others?
Usually it's like shift response.
you do
Then I
it.
go home
Tired.
tired,
Somehow we
you
video.
know, so
Yeah.
everyone do that type of work.
Closely cherish
Then
these
I
things
remember,
and just taking care of it.
And then we share.
It was interesting because just that me, that inspires me.
I started
Think about that. And then
I started thinking about
you
this,
know,
and in the context.
For me, I would have,
It was like,
for my mother, I would
all
I have to make sure that you
to
have.
not need from, so I started
Just
talking
so
about
everybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Then
saying.
we-
No, I started talking with everybody.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're
my
now.
future kids,
Awesome.
not to me,
Yeah, I would
just
love
to
that.
share to other centers that are coming.
for me.
So,
I know.
my
That's what I feel.
Thank you.
Yeah, I find that more
It was
energetic.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Are we ready?
we're ready. Group 1 is ready.
Group one?
Group 2 is already ready, right?
How are you?
Where do you ask every
Yeah?
Wednesday?
Good. Nice to see you.
We're already ready.
I think David's talking to himself.
David's under development. Thank
You
you.
guys want to have your quizzes?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the date? The 9th.
9th of April.
We're not ready for this one.
What is that? Thank you, love. Hi, Moss. All I want to do is be friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for doing this. Like I keep saying, it's a really nice thing to watch you discuss these things. It's nice for me, and it's nice for the teachers that have spent all their lives putting it down on pager in Tibet and Nepal and India. So, I think it was somewhere in between this class and the next class in 1997-98 that I decided there was like 150 people coming to these original classes at the Quaker Church on 15th Street. And I decided to clean up my bad karma. I was illegal at the time, and I went through a lawyer and somebody sponsored me, and I had to go to Australia, pick up my visa, and I'd be back to continue studying this Dharma. And I went to Australia, put my things on hold here, paid my rent, left the fridge running, and my lawyer said in 4 weeks I'll be back, everything's fine. So I went back to Australia. The classes began again, the next ACI course, and I could never get back in for 10 years. So it stopped for me, even though I was in the process of putting these things into practice. The access to this information completely stopped. And it wasn't like there was internet, and there wasn't like a abundance of Tibetans running around the world sharing this information. It was a desert. And I didn't expect it. And it was a really good crash for me. Because what it gave me was the drive to put these things into action. To go, I'm so far away. International phone calls were really expensive. Not that Geshe Michael was answering my calls anyway, every now and then. The rest of the time it was Ellie going, the love is in your heart. You know, like, I mean, they're busy and I'm calling at 11 at night, or, you know. They were doing all the classes for the other 150 people. So I just want to start today by thinking, what is it that we're getting out of these things? Because if your access to it is cut, and we live in a world where we have too much choice, and we have choice. What's the psychological dilemma when you have too many choices and it freezes you? Choice something. Freud coined it.
Paralysis?
Thank you, choice paralysis.
I just thought.
You'd made that, and that worked for me. Yeah. So I think in a way we have that. We have choice paralysis at the moment. You can go onto this side or that side and that side, and then you get confused about what they mean and what's the real meaning. So to get a clear lineage and clear instruction on an entire path from beginning to end, which is really the core of it, and then you can practice what you're being taught rather than just learning the content for words is essential. So being cut from that for me was harsh, but it was also really good because it made me hold on to dear life to the things that I was able to get in that time up to ACI 11, 12. Yeah. So I want to ask you, before we go into review and whatever, if you had no more access to this information, if you were taken to another planet, desolate world, and you had to practice what you've internalized, what's reached you, yeah? And don't forget, for me, I had a whole bunch of question marks in my bag of tricks and a small bunch of certainties. Yeah, I knew some of the basic suffering of the world. I couldn't deny that. The onslaught of the strong language that came out of the Bodhisattva Charvatara, which is really strong language, really strong ideas, did its job, which is in essence to crack the hard shell of our perception of the world and break open enough a crack to let some light into that essence that you are. So it did that for me. It gave me enough fervor to want to figure more out. And so gradually I started grabbing off the shelf the things that I had doubt about and tried to break them. In a way, for me, because I'm a proud person, it was sort of nice to be on the other side of the planet from the teacher that was teaching me these things. So he couldn't see me failing, you know. Like I felt that freedom to fail without being embarrassed. Yeah, and that gave me that let me fall into some traps as well. You know, like 3 years of smoking weed was pretty waste of time. You know, but I would try to meditate anyway. You know. So what I'm going to ask you today is, you've listened to whatever you've listened to, but what's sinking in? And let's see if you can tell me, share it with each other, and then we'll go through the review of what will eventually become the final for the class, which are the essentials of the essentials of the essentials for this course. You know? So if you had to say what's the one thing that you get out of this book that was written 700 years after Jesus died, you know, ideas in the East that are designed to crack open your life to a more meaningful and ultimate existence, what's the number one thing you personally take away? There's no right answer. I don't want the Buddhists say blah blah blah. I want Rachel's answer for Rachel's world and David's answer for David's world. Open discussion. Rachel, you want to go?
The very first thing that came to mind was I've heard the term joyful effort. I've actually taken this course before and it didn't sink in like it did this time. And that piece being so key. And it's totally changed. Like my work, my activity at work since that class, I don't remember what, maybe class 4, has been totally different every day. So that's been really big for me, and I just haven't understood that term until you taught it in the way you did.
Yeah. It's the same for me actually. Teaching it made me go, oh shit, I'm supposed to be happy. Yeah, I'm supposed to enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think it was also in your like saying that you knew you were going to be teaching it, and you're taking on the Valentine's Day party, and you started like you approached it in that way.
Yeah, and it was
so practical. It made so much sense to me.
That's cool. So describe that in more detail now. Like joyful effort. What does it mean to you in your everyday? You're saying you're applying it at work.
Yeah, I kvetch all the time at work, like all the time, and I have the most amazing job. And I just kind of realized like I was bitching about everything.
Right.
Like, even when I teach kids, they're amazing and they're like really divine. But I'm always just complaining. So there's something about it. Just then switched. I was like there's something about gratitude. Oh God. and a lightness
Yeah.
too. Like I'm like everything's so serious all the time.
Good.
Like more of a lightness and fun, and I really just started moving through my whole day with this joy of like every, efforting, like sitting at my desk and typing, like enjoying it, and trying to like approach every conversation with this like lightness and gratitude and joy. It seemed weird using the words because I didn't think of it in that way. I just started, I heard your class, I went home, I was really excited about it, and then like it just happened the next day.
Nice.
It's been happening since. Not super consciously.
Good. No, that's nice. Uncontritedly. I like that. Cool. Next, someone, it's your class too. This is review. So I need to walk away from this class thinking something got transferred. Yeah. Click.
Holding on to a sense of me and mine, and grasping that as something that's fixed, and you want to hold on to it so it doesn't change, to keep it in, is a sure cause of suffering. And letting go of that, just dropping it, opens up to just a natural sense of joy and bliss. And just learning to keep reminding ourselves and reminding myself how to let go of that. It's not what's real.
The fixed me and mine is a tiny part of
it's just
everything that you are.
My house, my money, my car, my wife, mine. It just goes on, and the effort to try and hold that is just so painful, and it just poisons the heart. It really does, and closes it. And the opposite is just letting it go and giving that to others, and it's just joy and freedom in it. It's just the opposite of. It's so counterintuitive, but it's just the opposite of it.
Great. Any verses that come to mind when he explains the me and mine? Do you remember the strongest verse for me is that's talking about, I mean, we'll review it, I'm sure we'll get to it this week and next week. Self-cherishing, when Master Shantideva talks about self-cherishing, and he uses the analogy of grabbing the coal in the fire, and you think you have to hold on to it tighter, which is the thing that's burning you, and you think that for it not to burn you, you somehow have to hold tighter rather than do the opposite. It's awesome. Okay, David, what's yours?
Well, there's always like the amazing one of if you can do something about it, do it. If you can't do something about it, don't do anything. Like either way, it's amazing. I mean, it's just so simple, but it cuts through everything.
Yeah.
But there was also, and I don't remember the exact language around it, but there was also this idea of having gratitude for the people who teach you patience, which means basically loving someone who annoys the hell out of you.
Skillfully well.
I don't remember the exact language, but I've been thinking a lot about that.
Yeah.
And, I have a really hard time doing that because I'm human.
You're Dave.
Because I'm David.
I'm a David.
Everyone knows I'm David. No, but I just love that idea, and it's true. Like when we experience it, it's just so true. Like at the end, you can see it. Not in the middle when you're angry.
Yeah.
At the end, you're like, oh my, like something opens up in you, and that wouldn't have been able to open up if it wasn't for that struggle. So yeah, I just think Shantideva was awesome.
That was one of the things that kept me alive. Like there were some moments where my thin connection to these teachings and these teachers was so thin that I thought I was dropping off the face of Australia, And that verse kept coming up, and it sent my mind into cognitive dissonance. It's like, what do you mean? I'm so close, but I'm worried. I'm like, what do you mean do something? Or I don't. It kept coming back to me as the thing that held me connected. It's a stunning verse. Yeah.
I just that's been a really big thing for me as well. And there's this person recently who's really pissed me off, and I felt and I felt heartbroken about it, and I simultaneously felt like my heart was breaking open from it. Like it was just this wild feeling of like a familiar feeling of heartbreak, and like this growth.
Yeah.
You know, and that was so cool. I'm
Sweet.
so
We
grateful.
were talking about this morning about the limits of breaking and how they're both things are accessible once you've got Dharma in your mind. Okay, what's yours? Glenn in Australia? New Zealand.
My what?
What's your number one thought that comes when you think about this book? That you're taking away from the talks we've had, or
that there's the only thing that comes to mind, I haven't necessarily been present in all the classes.
Sure.
But what comes to mind is that that there's not like many of us here, that there's one of us here. So I just have to do this for us as a singular thing, whatever it is that I'm doing. So, and that makes it Bodhisattva quite simple to kind of like work with, you know. So I just keep remembering that throughout the times I'm around. That's nice.
Cool. Thank you. Say.
I think mine has been waging war on your mental afflictions, and like the idea of you know, looking down for not getting distracted, the alarm clock, like reminding myself of what I'm doing, and watchfulness. Because, you know, it's so lovely to connect to bodhicitta. It just feels amazing. And then to know that the reason why I can't access it the way I would like to is just this insane amount of mental afflictions and like grasping to self that I have, and like that it's actually really great that it's in me and I can fight that, because if it was out there, like I would be stuck. Like what could you do? So yeah, there was a really strong calling to like bring out the armor and go to war on your mental afflictions.
That's nice. Yeah. So did it make you do something different than you did before the class? Like Rachel was saying, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it made me want to practice more, and it made me want to get to and I know it's grasping self, right? I know that's what it is, sure. But like that's like a concept, and then there's the realization yeah. That is like, it made me want to investigate more and really see the root of what they are, because I just see like trying to be hot for the guy I'm in love with, right? Yeah, as opposed to that doesn't, I know that's grasping to self, but and to know that really is a totally different thing. So I want to get to that. I want to cut those roots, you know.
Cool. So. That's nice. Thank you. Go to Mr.
Everything we experience is a habit, and so habits can be changed. And when you start to recognize the habits that you have and understand them as experiences and kind of pathways that you've forged that can be altered, it raises many possibilities for what you can do for yourself. So I feel how that kind of manifests itself is, I feel like I've said this for the past 5 years to many people, but it still holds true for this course. I feel what I've gained is in patience, what I've learned about my impatient self. It's given me a moment when I would say something or do something or act a certain way. I now have a moment to say, do you want to say that? Do you really want to say that? Do you really want to do that? And that's what I've gained in patience. That moment to consider what I'm about to do or say or think, and maybe have that opportunity to not.
Yeah. How awesome. I mean, when we did the TED Talk with Teddy, Jamie did a TED Talk about the gap between stimulus and response, you know, and lengthening that gap.
Open for me, yeah.
Yeah, that's so sweet. The other thing, I got a lot of that from having to review this and teaching the aspect of patience. The thing that I got deeper this time around was that the human view is a habit. The human view is
every
a habit.
experience is
everything, right?
Yeah.
And if that's true, then the whole view can change, you know, and then you put that in connection to the more advanced tantric teachings and practices, which are elaborate habit-forming views that can really seed your mind to have a completely different experience from the same stimuli. Yeah, that I got as a certainty in this class. So I'm so glad you said the habit. Yeah, Patrick.
I sent a Facebook message to Hector a while back about finances, and
I told him I didn't have any.
it was what are the karmic seeds to get out of debt and live in abundance, right? How do you sow those? And the answer was generosity. And the first perfection, right? There are 6 perfections in this teaching, is generosity. And when I studied that deeper, it was like they come in order. So generosity is the first, which makes it very simple for me, because if my fault is that I'm a greedy fuck, and the solution to that is generosity, but I don't have money to give, then I have to give everything else. And so this giving everything else that I can afford to give became the training for me, because that you can do in so many different ways. And it's been like mind-opening, like many times a day, because I'm greedy in so many ways. So that one for me.
That's awesome. That is so nice. And that's what I love about it. I have an image of us as hard-shelled eggs, like volcanic rock hard, you know, locked in our views, pitch black ignorance. And this thing just cracks open, and some light can come in, and then those things arise and those feelings come, and you know you're on to something. Like that's a realization. You are actually having realizations, which is the only thing that tells you you're on a path to realize, make real something that was previously unreal.
It felt like while I'm in a generous state, I understand all the other things I've read about Buddhism in a different way.
Yeah. So sweet. Thank you. Thank you, Peter. Animal.
I think for me it's also the demons, and recognizing them and working really hard, not because, you know, I can get lazy and I can be like, oh, it's okay this time, you know, so fall back on it. It's okay, you know, I'll do tomorrow, you know, you know, and it's like, and then you sit back and you think of I think about all the time I've wasted, and all the time that I could potentially waste, and how those demons in my mind cause all these, you know, whether they're insecurities or thinking that, you know, you can't do it or whatever, you know. But then on the flip side, you know, when you do work at these things, you find all this strength. It's like what, you know, Rachel was saying about the heart opening, you know, the breaking, but then it's also an opening of your heart. It's kind of like that, where in working these things, you find all this strength and you get like inspiration, and you just like all of a sudden it's like you can move mountains, you know. So that, and in combination with what David was saying about finding those annoying people to teach me, you know. Yeah, so I think those are that's like
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for taking stuff on Vereins. So we're just talking about if we stop learning this stuff, what is in your heart already about this?
There is so much. There is so much. I don't even know what to start with.
Give us one condensed one so we can go through.
Okay, right now I've 1,000 coming, but the first one is every day I think, what am I doing for the person that I will be in the future, which is another person actually. And today someone offered me to go in their house upstate New York, and I was thinking, thank you, the person I was created that karma. And because a lot of time we do things and we think this is good, but what is it really going to do for the person that I will be, to help me be enlightened, to help other people, to be independent, to be... this is one thing. And I'd never thought of it so clearly before. So clearly, like, I have to think of the person that I will be, like, and I think of the people the same way, of course.
Sweet.
Yeah. And another thing that comes also is, if I have some pain on my head, my fingers will heal my head. And I have 10 fingers, like there are 10 people there. And we don't even question that those fingers will have that head.
Yes.
And the same way we have to be all the fingers of one hand.
Great. The logic that we are not the parts, that humanity, we are the same. Taking care of other beings is the same as taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. Cool. Thank you. Okay, we have 3 left. Hi.
It's hard for me too to pick one.
But the point is, we're not. All I'm trying to do is make sure that there is something practical in your heart that you can take as a solid thing from this. Because believe me, the further we go away from today's class, we're not coming back to today's class ever. I mean, not in this way anyway. Not with the current mental afflictions we have. Not with the current opportunities we have. We're never coming back to these ideas now. They're in your mind, in your consciousness for some reason, and we are connected to be in the same room to understand them. So I want to make sure they land for that purpose before we move on to the next thing, because the next course is really hard, deeply shifting, and it will place a color on this course. Yes, maybe I'll share it next week at the beginning of the next course.
One thing I can say is from this course I've gained more stability in practicing bodhicitta. I'd always been like altering between giving so much and then retreating into myself, or being afraid of letting go of what I need or the little less self. So I feel like it's this whole past year it's been about finding that balance, and the whole topic of giving your capacity was really helpful.
Yeah.
That's the short and brief of it.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, the capacity thing lost me as well. I felt I'm being taken advantage of, I'm giving too much, but I'm supposed to. And then finding that middle way, that middle ground, and then expanding it gradually like a rubber band makes a big difference.
Reduced fear.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah,
that's
good.
The other thing.
Oh, so nice. Hello. Sarah, you don't have to give any feedback.
I guess what I want to share is what we were kind of texting about earlier. So I've been thinking a lot about the tension between like serving the person that is appearing to you versus just making them happy in the moment. And like, I think what I've been doing up until recently was just giving people what I thought they wanted. Like what I thought they were trying to get from me, and not thinking about what service actually is, and service is much deeper than that. And we have spoken in classes about, maybe the best thing for someone isn't exactly what they want, or I've been thinking a lot about that, and I don't have any answers really, but it's just something I've been thinking about. And
that place is actually, I think of it in an evolutionary scale, the part where if we did come out of the water and into land, it's that mud area between the half watery creature and half walking creature. That part of our practice in our evolution is that way. It's really difficult to define and give you a finite thing for lots of reasons. Things are not self-existent. Everybody's having a projection. Things work normally differently through time, and every situation has different circumstances behind them. But to actually be in that state of mind, which is quite confusing, to know, am I doing the right thing? If I just give them what they want, or if I interpret what they want, what if I interpret it wrong? What if like your head is busy about doing the right thing, right? You get deeper and deeper. If you have a good meditation practice and good background, good information, you get deeper and deeper into seeing the emptiness of that every situation like that, and still having to act in relative experience. You have to, yeah. So you have to with the correct intention. Then the teachings become super helpful. Correct intention gives you the only imprint that you're going to have, and you know if you're bullshitting yourself. Like you know also then to make a correction if halfway through that you have a separate perception. Or if and this is the playground. That's where things are made of mud and they don't stay shaped, but you form deep habits. There, it's a very important space. I wish I knew more about that scripturally so I could share more stuff. Because for me, that's the place where you are reshape your being. Yeah, cool. I think you're the last holy being, Stephen. What's the number one thing that upside that you no, seriously, like you're studying this amazing text from Master Shanti.
Am I going to talk or are you just going to?
I'm going to keep it. He's allowed to do.
Serving others. The whole chapter on meditation was just talking about serving others, and I thought that was fascinating. He was just like, here's what you should do in meditation, and then he didn't talk about anything except for other people and how they're the same as you, and that's the key. And I didn't fully understand it, so that makes me like my mind like it's like something I'm like, oh my god, it's something I don't know, or I feel like I don't know it, so my mind's always going back to it.
Cool.
And this winter was really hard, and every time it was hard I was like, just start thinking about other people and stop thinking about yourself so much. So.
Can I say a story about Stephen?
Yeah.
I'm doing my yoga teacher training at Jivamukti. I'm always up and down Union Square here and there. It's a very, very cold winter day. It's freezing. I'm far, far away. I see. I think I'm in Duane Reade, across the street from the 4 train, more close to 4th Avenue. Out yonder, I see a person in the perfect lotus position, still, and I'm like, oh god damn, there's a meditator over there. So I literally crossed the street to go take a closer look, and the closer and closer.
Where was it? Where was this person?
This person was in the steps in Union Square. Okay. It was cold. Nobody was there. As I get closer, I don't know. I don't recognize this person, but I'm drawn to this person. I see someone offering this person food, assuming it was a homeless person. And all of a sudden, taking off the hoodie, I see Stephen. And then he goes, no, I'm okay. Thank you so much. And then he puts the hoodie back on, back to meditation. But no, hold on. I go to 19th Street in front of Barnes & Nobles and I go to buy falafel. And I'm like waiting, and I'm like, damn, it's freezing cold. And then I remember, because of Stephen, it came to my mind, all these suffering homeless people in the street, actually freezing cold. So I stood in the cold about 5 minutes longer than I needed to, because he inspired me for other people. Just to have compassion for that and like bring awareness to that.
Awesome.
This guy, man.
Yeah. He wears the homeless coat all the time.
He appeared like the demigod in like my consciousness.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. You got offered food, right? For looking like you know what it is. Yeah. That's what happens when Bushwick comes to Manhattan. We should stay in Brooklyn. Well, that's sweet. Thank you for that story. Yeah. So, we are a really beautiful group of humans. Yeah, I just got a little better insight into your practices, and it's just lovely. And don't forget how rare it is. Like, it's extremely rare. Really, I didn't think that the next day I would never see these people again, not for 10 years. Yeah, I didn't expect that access to this information, the way I was having it so easily just turn up, was that it's gone. I had to call someone to go and empty out my fridge 3 months later. I had to ask someone to go pack my apartment. Yeah, couldn't get it anymore. You have something, work it. I'm going to ask at the end of next week's class that we think, like you should think about it now, that we think about one core practice that you could do and track on a daily basis as a serious practice for the 3-4 weeks between the end of this course and the beginning of the next one. And whether it's a practice to do with joyful effort, with stopping anger, or with concentration, something you can improve in the next 3-4 weeks. And I'm going to ask that if you want to play that game, it'll be like a locked private game. We're going to then share it through the 3 jewels for the benefit of others, like my progress with my battle with my mental afflictions or whatever it is. And then maybe 4 or 5 of us, 6 of us, however many of us want to do that. Soft track, minute improvements, and then we'll see where we are in 3-4 weeks. Yeah. So I'm going just so we get this in, one aspect of this in, because it is a gold mine of data. It's so much information. There is overload about what out of all this information should I get, right? So I think we should have a break now and then come back and start the review. Yeah, but really grateful for your sharing. It's really stunningly beautiful. And welcome, Sarah. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. This is Stephen's best friend. Turn off the camera for